Hey there, welcome to Fundamental Supersize Business Strategy number 21. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. I'm doing a little series where I share and am sharing the foundational. I don't know how many there's going to be, probably until I get tired of sharing them. Since we're on 21 today, I thought I'd do like 10, but I'm already up to 21. These are strategies and systems and processes that, based on my 4 or 5 decades of business ownership, leadership, management experience, I believe every business, every company at least should consider and consciously decide they're not going to do it as part of their business, or that they are, because it applies to just about every industry and every different type of business. I've used this and most of these strategies, if not all of them, in depending on what a certain business needs. That's where we start. We look and we do a SWOT analysis and we do an audit and things. That's just how we do it. But today I want to talk about the culture strategy. Now, we have a culture in our company, whether we believe it or not. We have a culture in our companies, whether we know it or not. We've created a culture, and that's why I think that, and I'm going to share a 14-step process that you can use to improve your company culture, or to make sure that you're creating it intentionally, not just ad hoc, like the vast majority of businesses, the vast majority of the world has done. They just have a culture that's created on its own, which is like communication. There's a formal network and there's an informal network. Guess what? The informal network gets information out faster, but it isn't necessarily accurate, and it isn't necessarily in alignment with what you want to have working in your organization or in your business or your company. So I consider culture critical. I think one of the first things and one of the first spots that we look at and we find challenges with whenever we're working with a new business or a new business owner or a new company, or meaning a company we haven't worked with before, is the culture that many businesses think they have and are creating is often the exact opposite of what's actually going on in the day-to-day business and the way the business is being run and operated. And it seems like the bigger the company, the more challenges there are there. I've worked for some of the biggest companies and the biggest corporations in the world. And if you've got 1,000 different locations, guess what? You have 1,000 different little cultures, and the chances of them all being in alignment is slim to none. But there are steps that we can take to create that alignment, to create the culture that we want, to in turn create the business that we want to see created in the world. So you can include what you want in your company culture. You can call out specific things and then follow these 14 steps and make sure that they are part of your culture. And you can do this anytime. I say when you're first starting out and building your company, that's the time to think about how you want these things to be. And like anything else, it's going to change and morph based on the environment, based on things that are outside of our control, based on leadership, based on all kinds of different variables that it's hard to even imagine what all of them could possibly be. I think about this a lot with the COVID pandemic. The COVID pandemic had an impact on us that most of us could not have foreseen, or we could have, but maybe we didn't. I absolutely was totally blindsided by the pandemic, and that's maybe because I don't pay enough attention to world events, which I now do, and the way things are going or should be going that will impact our business. It's about being aware of the things that could impact our livelihood, our lives, and our business. So you can include professional development, collaboration, leadership, diversity and inclusion, work environment, your mission statement, of course, employee engagement, that how you want your employees to interact with one another and engage. I will admit that in my companies, one of the cultural things that we incorporate is that we respect everybody and everybody gets their own opinion. However, that means there's certain topics that we don't discuss at work and in the work environment because they cause challenges and problems and destroy relationships among people that they shouldn't. Those are politics and religion, 2 areas that in my businesses they're not taboo, but they're none of anybody else's business. What I feel about politically and religiously, I'm not going to change someone else's mind. And I think the reason those 2 areas stand out for me personally is because some of the biggest hurts I've seen and the biggest rifts in relationships have happened because people admired each other, but then they found out that they totally disagreed about politics or about religion or some other thing that didn't seem to be that big a deal, but they're so linked to us emotionally that it's hard for people to separate that out. I don't get it, but for a lot of people it is. So we always just made it a standing part of our culture that we don't discuss religion and we don't discuss politics. If you want to go out and have a drink after work and talk about it together, go ahead. But you're not going to do it during working hours, and you're not going to do it with customers, and you're not going to do, etc. So you can decide what you do and do not want to include. So let's run through these steps really, really quickly. I'm not going to be able to expound on them because I'm pontificating. Number one, communicate your intentions. Let people in your organization know, hey, you know, we created this culture over the last 15 years and it just is what it is. But we want to look at that and be more intentional about it. We want to make sure that we're creating the culture for you as our employees, for the leadership, for everybody that we interact with, for our customers and all the stakeholders, that is the one we want it to be. We envision this, and this is how we want to achieve that vision. Secondly, you're going to evaluate your existing culture. And I'm going to say, you pretty much cannot do this internally. You can try, but you're not going to be getting very good results because everybody in the culture is already a part of the culture, and that colors and filters what we're even able to see. I've gone into companies that have like some really, really bad beliefs and practices, and they don't even see it. They don't even think it because it's just their beliefs, their practices. It's the way they've always done it. And it's actually harming them and their bottom line. But until they have a third-party audit or somebody come in, an expert, and put it in their face, and even when they put it in their face, some will just still disavow and choose not to work with you because you told them something that they didn't want to hear. Well, those aren't the types of people that I want to work with in my businesses anyway. So you want to do an analysis of the existing culture. I find, like I said, a third-party auditor, neutral, that doesn't have anything to do with the business, is usually going to give you the best results. Third, define your company and your company's culture and what you want it to be. Decide what you want it to be. Draft your mission statement if you haven't done so already, or revisit your mission statement. Guess what? When I start a business or when I first get involved in a business, my mission statement might be different than after I'm 5 or 10 years into it, because maybe I changed my mind about my exit strategy. Maybe I was going to buy and sell a company quickly, and I decided to buy and hold that company for a longer term gain and to make the world a better place. Whatever my personal objectives might have been with that. So draft your mission statement, define your core values, all the things that we do and should do for our personal lives, we want to do with our business for sure too. Communicate the results and get feedback. So your mission statement shouldn't be created in a vacuum. Your core values shouldn't be created in a vacuum. And then you want to communicate that and get feedback from everybody in the organization, at least a huge cross-section of people in the organization. Maybe not everybody, because that slows down the process. I mean, if you've got 80,000 employees and you want to get everybody's opinion on the company culture, that in and of itself is a huge project. Set company-wide department goals. I am flabbergasted at the number of businesses that we go into where they don't set goals. My favorite was the company I went to work for that had never done budgets. And I literally worked in that company, and we instituted budgets and a budgeting process, which made a huge impact on their bottom line, by the way. Build a roadmap of what you want to achieve and what you want to see. Set up a committee. I'm going to, again, recommend, based on experience, don't have the committee just be people that volunteer to be on the committee. Why? Because you're not getting a true cross-section of the organization, and you want it to be representative of the culture as it is now. And train your team. I've seen so many people, they just throw together a group and they say, okay, we're going to work on our company culture. Then they do their own internal assessment and work on things that they think are the most important, but they haven't created the committee or the team in a way that makes sense to get the results that they want for their company culture, yada, yada, yada. Hire for cultural addition, meaning hire people that will help you to achieve the cultural goals that you want. I'm not talking DEI hires. I'm not talking woke or anything, but if that's important to you and part of your mission and your vision, then you would do that. But I mean, if you need a different perspective and you don't have anyone in your organization that has that, think of technical things. If you need a new technical expertise and no one in your organization has that, that might be someone that you want to hire and bring into your organization because they will have a different perspective. It's why I like mixing people from different industries into different businesses. That's what I've always done because they come with all different perspectives and they've come from different cultures. 13, continually evaluate the efforts that you're making toward your long-term cultural goal. I mean, I like to visualize my ideal culture and then go back and find out what pieces do I need to put in place using these steps to begin creating that. We're not going to create it overnight. If we've been in business 10 years, we've spent 10 years creating our current culture. Doesn't mean it's going to take us 10 years to change it, but it's definitely not going to happen in 20 days or overnight. And then finally, my favorite step of any process is to adjust and continually improve. Notice what's working, do more of that. Stop doing what isn't working, find a different way to try to attack a problem or a challenge, etc. So curious, do you have a handle on your company culture, either the company that you're currently working for or a company that you own? Really curious about that because I think a lot of us think that we do, and then we find out by somebody giving us feedback and we actually hear it, that there's some stuff that's really messed up and awry in our business that we just didn't ever see. Usually because we couldn't even imagine that it would have happened in our company. And that's nothing bad on us. It's what happens, especially if we're growing and building and supersizing quickly. All right. Have an awesome day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow with another fundamental supersizing business strategy. Have a great day. Bye.